Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Sonam, Dulquer, it's always lovely to have you on Film Companion. The trailer of the Zoya Factor looked like great
You
fun.
can review this film of mine.
Oh, the other one, there's a conflict.
Last couple of films she's not being able to review.
It's just a conflict always, you know.
But that's so commendable of you to
But it's so like.
But you really don't need to do that.
I'm
Especially
reviews because
in our industry, no one's really going to make that connect. But that's really amazing that you do
It's
that.
the right thing to do, and it's the only way I know how to do things. But I have to tell you, my favorite scene is, of course, when you pick up your shirt and you have this look, this look on your face, which is just.
You should have seen the
sad.
look when she's actually facing me.
What was
She
it?
was
Tell
having
on.
a ball because
I was making so much fun of it.
I'm inherently shy and I don't want to do this.
Right.
And I don't want to go retake. So I'm trying to get this right in one take. And she's standing there really enjoying this whole process. Rana Daggubati was there. All of these people have kind of like.
And you're just picking up your
shown
shirt again
up.
and again.
That's my shot. And they've all shown up, I think, because they know we're going to shoot this and they're just going to have a good time, seeing me in my misery.
Did you make sure there were people around just
Yeah,
to see?
yeah.
I'm sure Aarti's called a few people. They're all just there. I'm like, guys, please.
Sheila, Rana, me, all of us were there. We're like,
But tell me, when you're playing characters from a best-selling book,
Yeah.
you've of course got the book. You've got readers who have an idea in their heads of what these characters would be like. You know, like when we read like Harry Potter, before we saw the movies, we all thought that this is what these kids should be like. Plus you have a screenplay, which is like another version of the same narrative. So as actors, what do you bring to it? Like, can you improvise enough, or is it more straitjacketed when there is a text to be working off?
I don't think that's the constraint that you have. I think the constraint of bringing a book to screen is basically trying to figure out how to fit it in 2 hours. Because when you have a book, there's so much written and there's so much going on. You can't actually fit all of it in, all the time. So the idea was to how to bring the essence of the book out in just the 2 hours that we had to make this film. And we got Ahuja on and we were like, Ahuja, we want to be as authentic to your voice as we can be. And she was there every step of the way, and a lot of the times she made us change the scenes.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, maybe this is another way we can look at it, or this is another way we can look at it. And I think that was really interesting, because she thought, instead of thinking from a writer's point of view, she was like, I understand, because this is too long drawn out and I don't know if we'll be able to do it, because we shot something. She's like, no, we need to shoot this again because it works beautifully in a book, but we need to figure out how to make it, because she comes from an advertising background. So she knows actually how to figure that out, including dialogues and stuff like that. So a lot of it was actually her idea. So a lot of the changes that you see were all done with her consent, or usually maybe coming from her. So it was interesting to have her as a consultant writer on the film as well. And what was also really interesting is I gained weight for the film, and I changed my hair for the film, which I had to do straight after Ek Ladki. So I had to start gaining weight for that. So I gained like 10 kgs for the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I've lost a lot of weight. For that, yeah.
Oh.
So if you see, I'm like, because I'm usually a reed thin girl with poker straight hair, but Zoya Solanki is an ordinary normal girl who has very frizzy hair. Her brother calls her Jahadu, and because her hair is like a Jahadu, and her hair is never consistent. Like it's sometimes it's pink, like it's very frizzy. Sometimes it's perfectly curly. Sometimes it's everybody with curly hair has that issue. So those things, I burnt my hair. You know that, no? I permed it and it got burnt. It was
in the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was full trauma for me.
So
You've suffered for your art.
I suffered for my art. Whatever, I have suffered.
So I had the book with me. I had it. So I keep picking up books every time I travel, and there's always a backlog that I have to get back to. So I always had the book. But somehow when I met Abhishek and Aarti and everyone, they were like, if you haven't read the book, don't read the book. Hear the screen adaptation first. Hear the screenplay first. And all of my life, I've always read the book first. especially books that have been made into movies, because I want to see my own movie in my head.
Correct. That's what all of us do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that sense, but when I was acting, choosing to do this film, I wanted to watch the film in my head. So I think it helped that I heard it as a script, and I didn't get attached to different things from the book. So in that sense, I think I was able to judge it better. I went on to read it after that, and it is hard. I mean, it's not easy. It's a 500-odd page book, right? And then you have to bring that down to 2 hours, and you can get attached to different sequences and different scenes. So, but it was nice that I think Ahuja was there and they collaborated, and they picked the best ones, and they still managed to get a good graph and a solid screenplay from start to finish.
But she wasn't on set, right? Because
She was on set. In fact, I've never actually met her.
No, you haven't.
No.
So I read somewhere that Abhishek said no, she can't be on set. Is that true?
Abhishek doesn't want his writers on set.
Any of his
Actually, even
writers?
Pradyuman was there.
Pradyuman was on set. Pradyuman wrote the screenplay and
Yeah,
the dialogue,
yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously Anuja has a lot of things.
That's
It's
true.
just
They were never on set.
They weren't on set because as actors we improvise.
And then it gets.
yeah, but I like the writers being on set because
Yeah.
sometimes we want to change things around, and I like to do it like. So I used to keep asking for Pradyuman. I was like, "Where's Pradyuman? Where's Anuja? Where's this one? Where's that one?" And it was interesting once or twice because I had piece to cameras. This is breaking the fourth wall. I'm looking into camera and talking, and the voiceovers. There are voiceovers, but I was like, don't want to do voiceovers. Let's do piece to camera. So we were doing that, and sometimes I was like, I need Pradyuman here because I need to figure it out. Abhishek's like, no, we will figure it out. We'll call him on the phone, but we will figure it out.
He just physically can't be here.
Yeah, he can't be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you know what I liked, Sonam, was the fact that you said that you like to play girls who are a mess.
Yeah.
And this woman's a bit of a
Completely a
mess.
mess.
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
So, I was talking to Ekta Kapoor, and she said the same thing, that in her, she said, for the last, 15 years, through her serials and in her content, she was creating perfect women. Women who are balancing बहुत ही अच्छी बहू and बहुत ही अच्छी बेटी and all of that. But she said, I want now to show imperfection.
Yeah.
That women are not perfect. And there's a great scientist in her serial mom, but she can't handle the home. Her home's a mess. She forgets her kid's birthday, right?
Yeah.
So it's just putting out the narrative that you don't have to be perfect. Why is this important for you?
Because while growing up in this film industry and being a part of this film industry, I didn't have characters that I could identify with. Female characters. You mean
on screen?
On screen.
Yeah.
You're either playing the perfect Sati Savitri, or you're playing hyper-sexualized something, or you're playing somebody who's been completely traumatized or something. But there were never regular girls who have a job, whose love life sucks, professional life sucks, everything sucks.
Struggling with
weight.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I feel like boys had a lot of characters they could identify with, like grey characters or whatever. And I've had this conversation with Zoya Factor. I was like, you made, and Farhan, and I'm like, you all have made Dil Chahta Hai, you've done all of this, and you find these boys with all these imperfections, they have those. I was like, where are the girls?
Yeah.
Where are the girls? I was like, I don't, and I see more 50% of your audience are women, maybe more than 50% who come and watch. And I said, I don't see any of these girls who are with us right now. So which of them have been represented on screen? And I'm not saying that it has to be, I'm not talking about a Neerja or an Ek Ladki or any of those films. Those films have been made, they're going to be made. But I'm saying a regular girl, a regular film, which is a commercial, easy, breezy film. I was like, where are the girls represented in it? I was like, where is that? And
This is it.
This is it. But this is one of them, and I saw that. And I saw that as an opportunity, and I know as an actor, yes, I'm greedy to play those dramatic roles where I get the awards and I get the appreciation, but at the same time, I want to play those characters, and I want to discover those characters that haven't been showcased before in Indian cinema, at least.
Yeah. I was watching the two of you on an entertainment show you had gone to promote, and
Right.
Dulquer, I was really thinking that in your industry, in Malayalam, you're not promoting at all.
Yeah. Not at all.
Is this a culture shock?
In this much time, I would have probably shot a new film. True, absolutely.
So is it a culture shock?
I did this round for Karma.
Right.
I'm now, this time around, I'm better prepared.
But was it
but
then?
the first time I was just like, what is this? It's like, it's this blitz, right? It's just everything and so many things at the same time. And I'm like, I'm just saying the same things again. I need to come up with new things to say or like make it more interesting, you know. And I'm glad I took some time to come back. You know, I feel like you guys have something new to ask me. if I'm immediately releasing, I'm like, what would you ask?
Yeah.
But it's also fun in the sense, you know, I really appreciate that there's always homework done. Nobody comes unprepared, and they don't need to know about me or my work, but everybody puts in their effort, even if it's to just check my social media, something like, you know, something they can ask about me. So I do appreciate it. Nobody makes me, you know, there have been times when someone's asked me, is this your first film after I'm like 10 films old? So, but that's never happened here. So I do appreciate that, and everyone's putting in so much effort. So like,
Props to us.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
But Dulquer, is it weird for you to have to sell a film like this?
Yes, but you know what the thing is, it's not like I wasn't aware of this or,
Sure.
or warned about it. You know,
Yeah.
I've been seeing this the whole of growing up. I'm sure, like from you know, Shah Rukh sir must have like really pioneered this. So I know, like when I'm signing up for this, for a Hindi film, I know this is going to
It's
be
part of
there.
the
Like
deal.
I kind of asked them, like, you know, how many days are you going to promote? 10, 12, like things like that. But I'm happy to do the grind.
Yeah.
You know, if that's how the system works, I don't want to really. It's not fair on my part, and I'm not that guy to ever sort of go against people and things. You know, like if my producer says this is how it works, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Where I have the luxury of not having to do it, I won't do it.
So in Kerala, you're just like, no interviews
So that's
for
the
me.
thing. I do interviews sometimes, but like I don't. We haven't yet seen how much you know, any data that like kind of confirms that maybe me, if I go and promote my film, like it'll do different numbers. I've been so far quite lucky, and you know, people have, I think, liked me, or maybe my choices of films. I think they think there's a certain quality attached to my film, so like they always seem to have decent openings, and the rest depends on the film.
Yeah.
So I understand that there, but I also understand how it is here. So
You know, Anuja's written some of the most memorable lines in advertising history. Dil Mange More and Dar Ke Aage Jeeta. Did you guys tell her, like, create something like that for this movie? Give us a line that.
she's given us a couple. I mean, I'm telling you some of the dialogues in the film from her. And
Is there anything you can tell us?
Well, you know, जब भगवान देता है तो छप्पड़ फाड़ के देता है. I love that line.
and where it was used.
And where
Yeah.
it was used.
And your
What
expression.
Yeah.
Your
And I was
expression.
like, this is some of the lines that she's given me, especially,
Right.
you know. Because I feel like, you know, there was something, I think you had invited me, I don't know who had invited me, maybe you had invited me, I think Sir Ian McKellen was here.
Yes.
You had invited me.
Yes, it was a conversation with Amir.
Amir, yeah,
Yeah,
and I'd come for it, and he'd said something really wonderful. And I'm very grateful that you did, because he said something really wonderful that stayed with me, because I could never understand that quality, and he articulated it. Is that even though as actors we play very, very, very different parts, there's always a filter of you. You know, there's you as a sieve that thing comes out of. So there's always a little bit of you in the character, and there's a lot of, and some of the character stays back in you. And I think with Anuja, with any artist, whether you're a writer, director, you know, any artist, I think it's the same thing. So I think when she writes, whatever she writes, I think there's something.
There's a bit of her.
There's a bit of her. And I think in Zoya there is a bit of her, and I like that. She is this spunky, like cool, funny person, and you know, and I'm very excited that you know, she thinks that I can play like a lot of her characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dulquer, you said that there's no such thing as a born actor.
Right.
You have to hone your skills.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm a born actor. So I do think some people are born for this. I don't know if you're a born actor or not. You know, like when you see someone who's just genuinely good at something they do. It can be anything. It can be flying a plane, or like, you know, or singing or something. There are some things I feel like that you're born with a certain ability. But I don't think it's fair to expect every single actor to have that sort of quality. And also, I think with work, with continuously you know, giving it your best and trying different things, a lot of this is about confidence. A lot of this is about how much you can express without being afraid of you know, being mocked or being ridiculed or something. And with that comes with experience. So almost every actor I won't say 100% because like I mean, there are amazing talents out there that kind of bloom very early. But almost every actor has an amazing graph where they are growing every year, and from their first few films to the middle of their career to, I feel like there's a growth, and I feel like you can grow. So definitely, yeah.
I know, Sonam, you still do workshops, right? You were
Yes.
telling me once
Yes,
that,
yes.
that you...
We did a workshop for this film.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we started.
So there's still that sort of hunger.
You
of-
have to have
You
that.
have to have that.
I see my dad do it. He does it
Yeah.
for race.
He's incredible.
He's incredible, and I'm saying that there's somebody sitting there all the time, going with him over the lines, working on his dialect. He's working on his physicality. I mean, I have that example to follow, So you set an example by actually doing it.
Yeah.
I think,
Same,
even
like,
as
I mean, we can be traveling, and my dad will be kind of like thinking about what his next look is, and figure out something for this character. If we're literally shopping, just like on holiday, he'll be like, I wonder if this kind of a thing would look good. And
Right. It doesn't leave you.
It's constantly there, and and that effort is always there, and this excitement is always there, and every film is almost like his new first film. He can finish a film on a Monday and start the next one on a Tuesday, and they do that. They keep at it, so that's always there in front of you. You're just like, oh my god, I need to like really buck up.
yeah,
And you have to be. I
You
think
have
that's
to.
it.
You have to
be
have
hungry.
that.
You have to.
Yeah. Because once you think you know it all, then you need to stop.
Yeah. Both your fathers have such a storied filmography,
Yeah.
and of course your paths are very different. But do you ever sit down and sort of just compare notes, like, oh my god, at 30 plus he was doing this and I'm doing this? Do you guys ever have that moment?
So I sometimes look, because I mean there's so much information out there. His entire career graph and filmography is there. In his 30s, there were years when he did 33 to 35 films in a year.
No way.
Yeah. If you look at, I think, 84, 85, 86 or something like those 2-3 years, because when you see 400 films, I'm thinking, how did he hit 400 films? And then you look at this, if you look at his IMDb, that first decade, there were some years when they were doing 30 plus films, because he's like, I'm not playing the lead in every film. I'm not there 90% of the film. I'm doing small roles, side roles, walkthroughs, all these things, cameos. So that's how the list adds. But I'm like, but still, 35 films in a year.
That's insane.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, did you know what movies were coming out? So I'm just like, and I'm struggling here to do 3 to 5. So when people say, you do 5 films a year, because I mean, our industry works differently and we do more number of films. So if I'm talking to Sonam and she's like, you're doing 5 films this year, like, are you crazy? And I'm like,
Yeah, I'm struggling to one. No one.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
we think
I'm
Akshay
thinking-
works a lot and he does 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking there was a time when they were doing these kind of numbers.
My dad used to do that as well.
That's right.
But when I see what my father did in his 20s and what I did in my 20s, he started working at like really started working properly, I think at 27, 26. And I really started working at 18. So by the time he was 30, he was like this massive movie star. And I don't think as a girl it's like easy to compare.
Sure.
But what I can compare to him was that he kind of created his own niche where films were concerned. Like he was doing films like, Mashal, or he was doing films like Ishwar or Mr. India, like these are the kind of films, and he was not afraid of doing 2 hero films either, right? And he wasn't afraid of playing like a slightly grey character like Ram Lakhan, or you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he was not afraid. Like even if he was doing a film with Amrita Singh, which is one of my favorite films, where he's playing the opposite. He's like making fun of like chauvinistic men, and there was a like he couldn't he didn't realize it, or maybe he did realize it because he's extremely intelligent and he's very perceptive about things, but he did not play to the toxic masculinity that was very relevant in the 70s and the 80s,
Yeah.
Because if you see a Mr. India or a Beta or a Ladla, whatever, there are the women have very, very, very strong characters. And I think that was amazing, and I think he keeps doing that, and I feel in a lot of ways that gave me the courage to kind of be like, I know my father doesn't think this way. I know that, when you have men in your life, especially your father, who is such a staunch feminist and so progressive in the way he thinks, it's easy, and he was very successful despite that. I think it was easier for me to make the harder choices as well.
Right.
So in that way, yeah, there are things where he's since the day I started, he always told me, Sonam, you have to create a power where you can open a Friday on your own, where there are producers willing to finance your films. That is what you need to do. It was never like you have to be the heroine of the film.
Right.
It was always like you have to have that power. You have to create that for yourself. That was always his encouragement. It didn't come from a place of arrogance. It came from utmost humility, where he understood that was needed in the film industry.
Yeah.
And I think I'm ever grateful for that encouragement.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing about following in what that line of work is to kind of, if you're both back home after a day's work, and I'm like, oh, I really struggled with this scene today, and it's really messing up my lines. I think I was really bad. I performed like an idiot. And he's like, you know what? And he might say things like, the day you feel like you did well, that means you're not a good actor. You have to be hungry to like make that mistake and like not be satisfied and keep trying to do better.
Yeah.
But I love that, like where I'm just like, if I wanna complain about myself,
He puts it into perspective.
yeah, and he gets it, right? Like, and
He gets
that's
it, yeah.
lovely. He's
There's
like,
a professional
he's like,
bonding.
today
yeah.
I had a fight sequence, and so that's nice. That I really enjoy those exchanges. We
Yeah.
don't really sit and discuss what we should do and all that. But
Yeah.
it's very these
Like actor to actor.
Yes, like
Yeah.
two guys have gone to work and to shoot, and they've come back and they're like,
It's so funny because there are so many, like, I don't know, everybody thinks that a son has to be exactly like their father. I always wanted to be like my dad.
Right.
But that's I think all children. Right?
Yeah, I know, but there's never that identity. Like, I remember I used to like playing. I only liked playing squash was because my dad used to play squash. I was like, this is what it was like, hero worship.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you want to be your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, my father thinks his girls are the best. I was born a woman, and I've tried my very best to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah. So, Dulquer, a couple of weeks ago, last month in fact, we had a screening of Virus, the Malayalam film.
Right.
And after the screening, we had this Q&A. And, the cast and crew writers, Ashik and the writers, and Rima and Parvati were all there. And somebody in the audience got up and said in this very sort of tortured voice, Virus is an excellent film. And this person said that, why are Malayalam films so much better than Hindi films? What are you all reading? What are you all watching? The hall broke out into applause. And the director, Ashik, was very, very gracious. And he was like, no, there's good and bad work everywhere and all. But as somebody who's sort of going between the two industries, what do you think it is? Why? I mean, I think Malayalam cinema at this point is really peaking.
Right.
What are you guys doing? What are you eating and
I think it's a few things. We're a small industry. We are at 150, 200 screens at best at a big target release. That's a big release.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can actually do 75, 80 screens and profitably. And we are catering to this bunch of people in this state or maybe in the Middle East. And that bunch then decides what they want to see. And if you question their intelligence, they won't watch it. If you as much as make them feel like this is a waste of their time and money, they won't watch it. But if you give them content, they watch it. Like a Kumbalangi did numbers. It did numbers, and solid numbers. So that is a big encouragement. And a lot of it is the business, it's just the dynamics that decide it. But at the same time, I think the size of the Hindi film industry is so massive. It can be 4,000 screens. So if something doesn't work here, or if some content wasn't good, the whole country finds out about it. But at the same time, because we're so small, you really see our best work. When something doesn't work there, it is not on a national scale.
Right.
That's not talked about.
Right.
Or that film is not noticed, or that film is not discussed. So we make 250 films a year. The top 10 are amazing, and they go everywhere, and everyone loves it, and everyone sees it. That creates a wave on OTT. So I think it's a combination of things. And I think not fair to other industries to, for us to think that we are doing something really special. But I also do believe that having the size of the audience that we do have, gives them the kind of power to decide what they want to watch.
It's very interesting because the films are just outstanding.
Yep.
But you're right. There must be the bad ones too.
Yeah, there is, of course. I mean, but the thing, what I love is that you can make great content without the trappings of mainstream commercial cinema.
Yeah.
And they'll still watch it in
it
numbers and repeat viewing. So that is very encouraging. So that then, encourages all the makers to think in that direction. So that could be, maybe the wave started with a few films, and then it's just, everybody's thinking in that manner. As actors, we want to only do films like that. We pick films like that. We want to associate films like that. And we are lucky to get to choose from a wide array of films like that.
Nice. We will aspire.
This is just my
to
sort
that.
of understanding.
That's a good, it's a very sensible way of looking at it.
Yeah. Okay, tell me finally, is there anything about you guys, either as artists or as just people, that generally people just don't get?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer
What's the most misunderstood thing about
Why
you?
don't you tell me that? You know me so well. I think it's important. Why don't you say it? I don't know what it is.
No, just this whole perception that it's very easy for us.
Right.
Who selects your movies? Does your dad choose your movies? And my dad himself is like, I have a hard time selecting my own movies.
Right.
I don't have the time, honestly. And so if something does well, they simplify it, and then they kind of just point it in that direction. It's because, you have your dad for everything.
You don't get enough credit.
I don't particularly care about credit, but I'm like, don't take away.
Right.
Don't make it.
Don't dismiss the hard work.
Yeah, don't dismiss that, and don't, because not just me, it's also my film. So there's so many people behind that film.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, it's these other factors, or you're just popular because of your dad, and therefore the films
Right.
are doing well.
No,
You
that
can't
doesn't
make
work.
a film work.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something, especially starting out, I really struggled with. But now I've kind of made my peace with it, I think.
For you?
I don't know. I don't know what people don't really know about me or how they misunderstand me. I think women in general, in India, are misunderstood. I think there's, and in the film industry, because it's so patriarchal, I think there's a lot of misunderstandings and perceptions about women. If you're too loud, or if you haven't, if you are loud enough, if you have an opinion, then you're too opinionated, or you're too outspoken, or you're very direct, or if you're if a man is doing the same thing, then you're not given that kind of darja ki ye aisa hai, that's why he's like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, I think that's something that's followed me through the whole, I was dressing a certain way, Sonam knows only. Like Dulquer said, there's a way of simplifying everything anybody does.
I first heard Shah Rukh say that. He used the word simplify, and I was like, oh my god, that is exactly what people do.
Right.
He's like, they just simplify it by saying, this film worked because of the NRI market.
Correct.
Something like some
Correct.
interview. And I was like, that word just always stayed with me.
You reduce it, yeah.
There's a reduction of everything, she is successful because of nepotism, which people don't even understand the meaning of it. So I'm saying that there is nobody's just successful like that. I don't think so. Yeah, opportunities and awareness of who you are is there because of who your parents are. But at the end of the day, if I've survived for 15 years in this film industry pretty successfully, there should be more to it. I mean, I could call it the Zoya Factor.
Coming back to that.
But I think there is a bit
well played.
But I think there is a bit of hard work and there's passion for what I do. And I think there's goodwill, which I've created for myself, because a lot of the directors and producers I've worked with haven't worked with my father.
Right.
And
it's not automatic.
It's not automatic, and nobody's going to put money in you on your films.
That's the biggest fallacy, that somebody launched you just because you're someone's son.
Nobody owes anybody.
Nobody owes any.
Money doesn't come easy.
No, it doesn't come easy, and it's a business at the end of the day. I know how much I auditioned for Savaria. I know how much I auditioned for Delhi 6. Nobody will speak about that. And that is okay even, because I know how much I have. I'm very lucky as a person. I'm very fortunate. I I have a very stable family life. My parents are together. I come from a lot of privilege, and that is all great. And yes, I'm very, very lucky. I am born with a silver spoon. I have everything. But that doesn't mean I don't work hard and I'm not passionate and I don't love what I do. And I think that's the one misunderstanding. And just because I love fashion and clothes, like a lot of the girls and boys do, doesn't make me a bimbo. I want you love fashion as much as I do.
Love it. Please keep dressing well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, if you like this video, then please subscribe
To Film Companion.